Okay, so I wanted to make another quick video here for people who have used some of my older videos to create or to build a 2 terabyte drive in their system using the old format, which was basically either cloning a 500 gigabyte drive or creating a new 500 gigabyte drive and then using GParted to increase user content or the user content partition. And I wanted to show you basically how to switch or basically convert the drive from a fake 2 terabyte or a 500 gigabyte drive that was just stretched out to the new real 2 terabyte drive configuration. So basically changing the GUID of the disk and then making all the partitions the proper size. So what I have here is one of my OG Xbox Ones, one of my other systems that I want to basically convert to the new format. And just to show you what we're dealing with here, we're going to go over to settings and system storage, and I just want to show you that it's at 1.7 TB, so that's a sign of my old method. The new, or the official Xbox One 2 terabyte hard drive size should be 1.6, not 1.7. And you can also see there's some space used here for games. I'll show you that in a second. The other thing I wanted to show you while I was in here is you want to, whenever you're doing something to an existing Xbox One drive, you want to make sure you shut it down cleanly. And I mentioned this a few times before, especially if you're cloning. We're not cloning in this case, but we're going to use GParted to change the partition sizes around and the GUID values. But we still want to make sure that we shut down the drive properly so that it's the disks themselves, the partitions are clean. The NTFS partitions are clean. So we want to make sure our power mode is on energy saving. I mentioned this a few times. I recommend everyone do that anyways, but you know, it's one of those things, it's up to you. But I've shown this in the past, but this isn't enough to change the power mode anymore. So the other thing you need to change is I think it's system and then updates. And these two guys here, basically when this is enabled, your Xbox will automatically apply and available console updates when you turn it off. So basically these two options here, the other is, so basically when you shut down the Xbox, it will update your console or update your games, which means that if there's an update available for the games, it'll start to download it as soon as you shut it off, which is similar to the instant on mode in that when you shut the system off, it'll start to do the downloads and keep the system on. So basically we want to uncheck these two items here as well. Oh, and just to show you here the system version. And one other thing I want to mention, because I got a comment on this the other day in one of my other videos, is that someone was trying to do the hard drive upgrade and they had the preview dash installed on their system. I think that's what it's called, the preview dash or the beta dash. And I said to that person what I say to everyone: if you're in the preview dash system, dashboard update system, and you think you'll be upgrading your hard drive or doing anything with your hard drive in the future, get out of that preview program or get that Xbox out of the preview program as soon as possible. The reason being, the offline updates are the latest up-to-date retail versions and won't be able to patch preview dashboards. So if you mess up your hard drive trying to upgrade it, or if you just have a blank hard drive and you're trying to upgrade it, you can't use the offline update on that system if it has a preview dashboard. Okay, just wanted to mention that again real quick. Okay, so the only other thing to show you at this point is some of the games I have on here. And I just want to show you that one of the games works, because the whole point of this video is to show you how to change your system into an official 2 terabyte drive system and still retain all your data. So I'm just going to open a game just to show you that games do start. I don't know if this is a good choice or not. I don't know how long this game takes to start up. I just chose it because it was first. just want to get to something. There we go. Okay, we're counting stacks of money, so that's perfect. Okay, so that's all I wanted to show you. So basically we're going to shut the system off and pull the hard drive out. And just to show you here, it's shutting down. It's another one of my systems with a modified fan, so okay. So there we go. So on this, so we just want to pull the drive. I already took all the screws out and everything like that to save time. Get this all in one hand. Getting pretty good at this. Put in the actually, I think this goes like this. Sorry. All right, there we go. And then we will plug it into the system here. Now you can see I already have my Ubuntu flash drive on the system, all ready to go. I'll fix the camera when I can see something. Okay, get the input swapped over here. Okay, now I've done a few other videos where I've shown you how to get a bootable Ubuntu drive, so I'm not going to do that again here. I am going to use the Linux partitioning scripts that I've used in some of my prior videos to do this, but it's a slightly different process than what I've done in the past. And also we're going to use a program called GParted. Now I have the screen up because I wanted to mention that I just finished a live stream with the Game Complainers. They were nice enough to have me on today. I really appreciate it. It's Perry, Anthony, and Frank host the show, and they do a really good job. They talk about video games. Today we talked about E3, and they let me talk about this script for a little bit as well. So I encourage you to check out their channel. They do some good work over there, and I'm very appreciative of them having me on today. Anyways, so let's get to the rest of this video here. So I have this page up as well. I showed this in I think 3 videos ago, and one of the things we're going to want to know is this value right here, the basically the megabyte size of a 2 terabyte hard drive, and particularly the user content partition of a 2 terabyte hard drive. And this is going to be the magic number that we're going to want to change the user content partition to. So you just saw me hook up the 2 terabyte drive to the USB connection here, and we're going to do a search here. We're going to look for GParted, and this is Ubuntu 17.04, so it's the latest version. And we're going to let it discover our drives. Okay, so we have our primary drive, and it looks like the one we're looking for is dev SDH this time around. So we're going to select that, and we're going to stretch this out a little bit so you can see all the values. So this guy right here is the one that we're going to want to shrink down, and we're going to want to change the disk GUID as well, but we're going to do that last. So to get started here, we're going to want to make this to that number. So we're going to say this is user content here. I don't think any of this is mounted. Well, temp content is mounted, which is weird. So let's right click it and unmount that. If you see anything in this list, you want to unmount everything if it's mounted. Just makes the whole process go smoother. Okay, so we're going to do a resize on this. And you can see right now, this is the largest number. Let's see, is there any space on the end? Yeah, I actually forget how I partition this. I think I partitioned this originally. This goes back before the Xbox One updated to use Windows 10. It was still using Windows 8, and you could use the scripts that Team Executor offered. Yeah, this drive was old enough where I used Juvenile's Python scripts to actually partition this, so it left a little bit of space on the end. Anyways, so we want to change this number to that number there, or sorry, this number here rather to that number there. So we're gonna copy this, and we're gonna tab back here, and we're gonna paste it in. And we want to leave the free space as 0, and then let's click this. So we'll see all that space that we're going to shrink this partition down. You can see it here on the end. Or you want to make sure you remove the space from the end, basically. I think it's going to automatically assume that, because generally it puts all the data at the beginning of the partition, not the end. So you go. So that's it. So we change that. We're going to say resize move. And then now we have all this space behind user content, which we don't want. So we're going to do the same thing to these next two partitions here. We're going to basically take out the free space preceding. I think this is actually the opposite of what I normally do when we clone a 500 gigabyte drive. And warns you about perhaps destroying your data. Same thing again, 0 there, size move, and here's our last one. Okay, so basically you want to just double check that everything it's going to do here is correct. So we're going from 172 to 162, and then we're just moving these partitions to the left. And then you can see we're going to be left with our 101 gigabytes of wasted space on the end. It's unfortunate, but it's what Microsoft decided to do. So we'll click this check here to apply all actions and say apply. Now this can take a while, so I'll probably, just to save time, I'll probably stop the video and just show you the details at the end of how long each of these things took. Because this can take a while. It's worth mentioning that, I think I mentioned this in the beginning, that this process will also work if you have a system that is a 500 gigabyte system and you have a bunch of data on it and you want to transfer it over to a 2 terabyte drive. So what you won't see in this video is the actual clone process of the 500 to a 2 terabyte. And then using GParted. Basically that's what you do before this to get to the point where I am now, which is again cloning a 500 gigabyte drive to a 2 terabyte drive. And then you would attach it to an Ubuntu system like we're doing here, and then do this exact process you're seeing here. It'd be a little bit different. So instead of shrinking the user content partition and then moving system support, system update 2 to the left, you'd actually be doing the opposite. You'd be moving them to the right. And it's a little bit trickier. So one of the things you'd want to watch out for is the system support, or rather, I guess the position of these. The numbers actually I showed you, maybe I'll take screenshots out of this video. But the numbers that you'll see behind System Update 2 and behind System Update and behind System Support, you want to know those because you're going to be doing just the opposite process I just did here. You're going to be basically setting System Update 2 first and moving that to the right. And you want to make sure there's basically this amount of space behind it. And so I'll take a screenshot of the numbers you'll want to enter. You want to do exactly the numbers that you saw me entering here in your case. It'll just be a difference of whether it's moving to the left or moving to the right. Anyways, I'm going to stop the video here and come back when this is complete. I don't see any estimation on time, but you can see this is gonna take a little while. I haven't done a shrink with GParted in a long time. Anyways, we'll come back and I'll show you the times. Okay, we're back, and as you can see, this took a real amount of time to complete. The shrinking process here took over an hour, and then the moves themselves took basically over another hour. So just so you're aware, this does take some time to complete. I do think if we were going from a 500 gigabyte and stretching it out to a 2 terabyte, it would have gone quite a bit faster, maybe only taken about half that amount of time, but this process does take some time. So we're going to close this, and it'll refresh the drive status. This actually is about 3 hours later. So as I said before, I'm going to actually show you the sizes of each partition. So if we wanted to go the other way and actually move system update 2 first, this is the most important thing. This is the number of free space you're going to want following this partition. I suppose that's the only number you really need, because these other two, the system support and the system update, are going to be 0, 0, and the size isn't going to change. And then lastly, user content, and this is the size that you're going to want to make sure you increase or decrease user content to. Okay, so that wraps it up for resizing the drive and making this, making all these sizes the official Microsoft sizes. So now we're going to go on to actually changing the disk GUID. So we're going to, anywhere on the desktop here, we're going to right click it, say open terminal. And we have everything we need here, so we're going to shrink this down at this point. Same here, we don't need this. Okay, so we're going to go back to using our Linux scripts. We're going to do a CD, NT, media, actually, media, CD-ROM, Linux. Okay, do an LS. And so what we're going to want to do first is a sudo list. And you can see here, this is our dev SDH. And then it shows our usage. So first let's check to see what the GUIDs look like currently. So I'm going to rerun this and just add the dev SDH. There you go. So this is the main one here, is this guy. You see the 1.6 terabytes. That looks good. But what we want to do is actually change this value to the 2 terabyte value. So to do that, we're going to run the other script. And you always got to put sudo in front, even for the command instruction. Okay, so the trick here is we just want to do stage 2. We just want to rewrite the GUIDs. I mentioned this in the other video that there may come a time where you don't want to do an erase and partition. This is one of those times because you want to retain your data and you've already moved the partitions around. Okay, so in the interest of saving time, we're just going to cut and paste this line here. So I'm just going to highlight it, and then I'm going to middle click my mouse here. I think the other thing you could do, if you don't have a middle mouse button, is highlight this part of the command and then do a shift insert. Yeah, that works fine. Okay, so basically we're saying we want to do mirror and we want to do a 2 terabyte, so we want to leave that as 2. We want to do a stage 2, so it's S2. And then the only thing we want to change here is the actual device, which in our case is SDH, which is consistent with everything else we've been doing. And then in the front of this command, we'll add back our sudo /. So we want to run as root, and the script is in the current directory. I'm going to hit enter on that. And so this is going to quickly just go through and change the GUIDs. It's going to attempt to change them all, but the only one that we care about is this one. And you can see there's the 2 terabyte assignment. So here we have the 500 gigabyte, and then all the rest should all be the same. And that should basically do it. So we've already done the resize, and now we've changed the GUIDs. Now the only thing we need to do is get the drive back into the Xbox One. So just so I make sure that we dismount the drive properly, we're going to hit the power up here. We're going to say shutdown. It's pretty much safe enough to eject the disk there instead of doing the shutdown, but just to be safe. Okay, we're going to change this input as well. HDMI 2, so when we come back, it'll be ready to go. All right, so what we're going to do here is get our drive detached and into the Xbox One. Okay. Line up too good today, but that's okay, I guess. Don't really need to line up. We can fix all that later. We just want to make sure everything's connected in. I think we're good there. Okay, so let's get that turned on. And again, there's the drive serials. Okay. So get that up and going here. Let's see. One. There we go. So fiddling with the cable here seems to okay. Sorry about that. So my cable on the HDMI cable is a bit loose there. I know here when I lift it or mess with it a little bit, it tends to lose. Huh. Interesting. I almost want to try that one more time. Or should I just leave it? No, I guess it's fine. I don't need to really reboot it again. But for whatever reason, the HDMI cable was a bit loose there. Alright, so I'm just going to push this down a little bit because I want to sign in. Okay, so we're able to sign in, so that's a good sign. Yeah, let's push that down just a little bit further. And sign over. Okay, so I'm going to go down to, first let's check out the drive size itself. Storage. And we can see here we have about 101 gigabytes less free, and it's at 1.6 terabytes. So that's what we expected to see. Being able to log in is a pretty good sign. So let's actually start the game. So we'll load, go in here so you can see the game list first. That seems to be okay. And we'll try to load the same game again. Okay, there you go, there's the video. The start of the game. And just for the heck of it, let's start one more game too. See if we can start one of these smaller games. Start a Pac-Man here. Oh. Give it a little bit of sound too. There you go. Well, that looks pretty good. I'm not actually going to play a game this time. Here, let's get my ID out of the picture there. But there you go. Yeah, so that's basically changing a non-official drive into an official drive and having your game still work. I'm going to skip the part where I actually do a system reset, because that would defeat the whole purpose of keeping our data. But I just wanted to show you that's possible. So this should work with taking a 500 gigabyte drive, cloning it to a 2 terabyte drive, using GParted, and then changing the GUID. It should be fine, because essentially that's what I did here. It wasn't a 500 gigabyte drive originally, however it did have the 500 gigabyte GUIDs, and then we went as far as actually resizing the drive. Once the drive is initialized, in general the Xbox One doesn't care about the drive sizes. So changing the size really isn't the issue. The issue is changing the disk ID itself, and that didn't seem to have any effect here. The drive still works, games still work, and that should allow us to do the system reset later if we ever needed to. Alright, so that about does it, and I'll see you in my next video.